hard-nosed, tough, aggressive Big 12 team. This conference play, start of conference play, it comes quick, and then the games come quick. And our guys have learned a lot already from our first couple games, but the key is applying what we've learned. Sometimes you learn lessons and you don't apply them, and it catches you. Sometimes you learn lessons, you apply them, and it helps you win the next game. For us, the focus is on being what we call level 5, which is having as much energy as we possibly can have out there on the floor, as much talk, as much connectivity around the game plan. And again, that's regardless of circumstances, regardless of whether the last ball went in, whether we're shooting the ball well from 3, if we've turned the ball over a few times, if the refs have made some calls that guys disagree with, we still have to stay focused on the things that matter most. Really appreciative of the way our fans responded to really the end of the West Virginia game especially. I thought the crowd in the last 2 minutes of the game had a huge impact on our team. And it's a great example of the fact that the crowd here, just like anywhere else, can affect the outcome of the game. And so that's something that's big for us when we're at home. Tomorrow night we're on the road in a hostile environment. And for us, it's really, really important that everyone is for one cause only. And if we focus on staying together and being connected around that one cause, it gives us the best chance we can have.
Coach, there any players that might dare look at their current record and kind of have certain, and form opinions on that? What is it about this Oklahoma State team that you would tell them?
Well, for anyone that played on our team last year, all they need to do is look at the game that we played there last year. Our guys did a really good job building us a lead, but we as a team did a poor job finishing the game, and Oklahoma State did a terrific job finishing the game. Their biggest strength offensively is when they get out and run in transition. That was the case last year. That's the case with this year's team. And we did a poor job down the stretch of that game in transition defense. That was part of why they were able to come back and beat us. So regardless of the record, we have to understand what goes into winning for us in this game, understand the dangers that Oklahoma State presents. They have some very explosive scorers. They're a very good three-point shooting team. They've got some guys that are very aggressive. So we need to do a good job, first and foremost, respecting what they do. And then secondly, understanding that it is still about us and our focus and our togetherness. So that's something that we've already started talking about and we'll continue to talk about.
Coach, do you feel like you guys are close to approaching the level of consistency that you want?
We'll see. We're going to find out this week. We'll find out tomorrow. I think our guys did a nice job last week. But it's a new week. As I told the guys, there's 10 weeks in Big 12 play this year. And we've got 19 games, if you include the Georgia game. And so we've got 1 week down. Our guys did a nice job going up to Kansas State. Came back against a really tough, physical West Virginia game and, played hard-nosed basketball. But, now we've got to move forward and make sure that our emphasis is on us and what that looks like, what that sounds like, what that feels like, and nothing else.
You mentioned they've learned some lessons these last couple of games. What are the main things you think that they've learned that they need to use to apply moving forward?
Don't base your approach on circumstances. Understand that whether you're at home or on the road, your juice level on the defensive end and how much you're talking and pointing out there means a world of difference. The fact that, it might be different guys on different nights. Jace Febres led us in scoring at Kansas State. Most people wouldn't have predicted that, but that was the lift that we needed to have. Matt led us the other day against West Virginia. Snoop is a guy that, has had explosive scoring nights. I think for him especially, he's made some real strides in taking the right approach throughout games, even when it's not gone great for him, whether the ball's not going in or the ref makes a call or two that he doesn't like or a play doesn't go his way. I think he's really stayed committed to being about what our plan has been, and that's really helped us. We know he's such a good player that over time he's still going to have his moments because we're going to continue to play through him. We're going to continue to run pick and roll game for him. We're going to try to put him in positions where he can score and create offense for his teammates.
Is he learning from some of those? I mean, he had the crazy stiff arm foul in Manhattan, and then he had the bad reaching foul early. Does he see those, or do y'all show him those?
Yeah, we do. We talk about that all the time. Foul trouble is the biggest thing that can keep, when you're one of the best players on the team, it's the biggest thing that can keep you out of the game. And so, not just for him, Jackson Hayes, Matt Coleman at times, those guys, really need to make sure that they understand how valuable they are being just out on the floor. Yeah. And so for Snoop, as a senior, he's an aggressive player, and he is a guy that uses his athleticism. And so our emphasis with him is, hey man, show your hands as much as you can, because your legs and your footwork is as good as anybody. And so he's still learning that way, but he's a guy that, again, I think has done a really good job in these last couple games, and really ever since that rough stretch he had against Radford and VCU. I think he's done a good job responding to situations that have come up in games, whether they're good or bad, and continue to follow the plan.
What's the message to Royce, coach, and how big a role does he need to play with Jericho being there?
Message to Royce is, we need you to come in and play with great energy for your team. He's a guy that, in practice, going back to the beginning of the season, has always brought terrific energy and aggressiveness. And he started to play better and better. That's why we gave him some opportunity in these last several games. But now that he's getting that opportunity, it's a matter of making the most of it. I told him the other day, opportunities multiply as they're seized. That's not my quote. I think that's Lao Tzu or Sun Tzu. But when he seizes those opportunities, when he grabs hold of them, he's going to get more. I mean, that's the same for any player. But he's a guy that we need to play with a level of physicality. We need him to grab the basketball. If he can get a rebound every 3 minutes, that's what we're looking for. If he can get his hands on the basketball on the defensive end, contest shots, play tough against other teams' bigs, that gives us a huge boost because Jackson's a freshman. He's still learning about the physicality of it. He's going to need his breaks, and there's going to be times where Royce can go in there and give us a huge lift.
You said it's only been 1 week, but it's been a big week league-wide. Konate's down, now Azubuike's down. Do you put Jackson in bubble wrap to make it, when he's not on the court, to make sure that nothing happens to your big guys?
Why would you even put that out there in the universe,
I'm just saying, don't need no bad karma here, because it's going around the league.
We don't need you bringing that up, man.
Yeah.
No, I mean we as a program, we just try to do everything that we can to put our guys, knock on wood, in position where they can stay healthy. But unfortunately, it's part of the game. We've seen that here, in recent years, and we're just hopeful that our guys can follow our plan and practice and take care of their bodies, along with our strength coaches and our athletic trainer, to put themselves in the best possible position.
I mean, I know you don't sit around all day monitoring social media, but the tone was, now Kansas is vulnerable, and there was a conversation of, okay, who's going to maybe step in and challenge them or whatever. And I wonder, could it be you guys? You guys you're off to a great start just as much as anybody else. You got the talent, athleticism. Could it be y'all? Well,
I think it could be a ton of teams.
Yeah.
First of all, I think Kansas is still a terrific team, and Azubuike's a phenomenal player, but when you take him out, they actually play a more perimeter-oriented game as they've played in recent years. And just from a defensive standpoint, that makes them, in some ways, even harder to deal with. Yeah. So anyone that's discounting them is not someone that's looked at recent history or even not so recent history. But in terms of, who can contend for the league, I think it's wide open. I think it's all about which team can understand what goes into winning and then get past hard to bring those things to bear on a consistent basis. It's not easy. I mean, if it was easy, then everyone would do it. Everyone would go out and be their best all the time. But there's a lot of factors that come into play that take away from teams or individual players being their best. And so what you have to do is you got to get past that stuff. And if you don't get past that, then you will lose or you won't play well. And so, for us, we try to do that in, bite-sized pieces. So we have practice today. Tomorrow night, we play a very, very hungry, aggressive Oklahoma State team. And there's certain things that we have to do if we want to win. And there's certain things that if we do too much of or not enough of, we won't win. So we have to do those things that go into winning. Our guys have learned that that's the case. So that's been a step that we've taken. Now it's a matter of, between us and coaches and them as players, again, bringing those things to bear when it matters most.
You said after the game the other night, Coach, that one of the big words you're using right now is yet. Now, not referring to, getting to where we want to be, we're not there yet. Obviously, wins and losses kind of define that, but are you seeing that this team is starting to develop a little bit of attitude, positive attitude, a little bit of more hungriness? Those little certain things that you don't see on the floor and maybe things that don't dictate win and losses, the character that these guys are.
Yeah, but those things do dictate winning and losing. And the tricky thing is sometimes you're building those things and, a 3-minute stretch in a game causes you to lose it. Or sometimes you win a game, but you actually went backwards a little bit in some of those areas. So you got to really watch closely and as players and coaches go back and do an after-action review and study, okay, what did we do well here or where did we come up short? But to your question, I think our guys have gained more of an understanding of what they have to do, and now it's a matter of having the maturity, again, I keep saying it, regardless of circumstances, to do what they have to do. They know from us they're going to get taken out of the game, if they don't do certain things that we believe are non-negotiable. Our guys have been really good about that and having a great attitude and understanding, you know what, you're right. I do need to dive on the floor there. So if that continues, then we'll continue to get better. But that is not a given. It's a daily battle for the hearts and minds of our players. That's the case at every school in the league.
No, they haven't been consistent over the course of an entire game very often yet, but how much of Eli and Courtney influenced that? It seems like they just have
those guys,
when they get on the floor.
Those guys really bring a level of spirit and energy to our team. For Courtney, he's a freshman. He's still learning. There's a lot of things he doesn't know, but he comes out there with a purity in terms of his competitiveness and just his desire to make his team win. He struggles when he's not great at something. He has a hard time handling that because he's somewhat of a perfectionist. That's good in that it's going to make him better over time. But in the short term, he just needs to know, man, I can really impact my team with this spirit that I bring to the game. And even if I miss a shot or a free throw or I turn the ball over, I can still come back on the next play. With Eli, similarly, it's been an adjustment for him. I think it's been a steeper adjustment for him than he anticipated. That's the case with most transfers. But I think he's doing terrific. I think he's really added a lot to our team. He gives us jolts in games seemingly right when we need them. He's very timely with that. And he has no fear. He has an aggressiveness about him. He's also the one guy on our team that, has a little bit of a, underdog mentality that we need to have. I mean, we need that to infect other guys. So I think those guys help Matt. I think they help Snoop. And, we need them to keep growing.
Building on that question, what Dustin's asking, I mean, when you're looking at lineup combinations with those two guys specifically, how much are you looking at things just happen when these guys are on the floor?
Yeah.
Yeah, there might be some bad, but just there's a lot of things happening. How much do you weigh that?
Yeah. Well, there's what
more than just positive and negative.
There's what your eyes see, and then there's what the numbers show.
Right.
And the best is when those things go together and correlate. But sometimes your eyes see something, and then the individual statistics show something else, and then the plus-minus numbers or the lineup numbers show something else. Kamaka's an example of that. But for those two guys, what we see is the level of energy on the floor typically does increase when they go in the game. What we also see is those guys are better when they're playing with Snoop or Matt, or preferably both. So it's more complicated necessarily than sticking them out there with any lineup, but they definitely have helped our energy and given us an infusion.
I know his shooting gets a lot of attention, especially when he has a night like he did at Kansas State, but it seems like Jace is becoming more comfortable at using the shot to put the ball on the floor so to get to the rim, things that we didn't really see from him last year.
Yeah, he's getting there. He's making a lot of progress. He knows that the opposing defense is going to run at him and that they're going to try to take away his outside shooting. So we've made a big emphasis to him and all of our guards to get in the paint. You've heard me talk about that before. Did a nice job. He had 2 scoring drives the other night against West Virginia. Again, it's a yet thing. You know, he's not all the way there yet, but he does have good athleticism. He's got good size for a guard. And if he becomes a guy that's a threat to drive it, to shoot it, or to shot fake and use his in-between game, then he just becomes a way more dynamic player for us.